I still would put Ed Coan above me. He had such a dominant run for like 20 years, and I'm nowhere near that. So I think like my peak is pretty close to what he's at, but I just need the longevity to really match him. And no matter what, there's going to be people that are going to argue like, oh, like Ed Coan's better than me, I'm better than him. So I understand, like, I'll never be like an undisputed GOAT, but I definitely am honored to be in that conversation.
You're getting pretty close, man. I mean, for as long as I've been lifting, Coan's, was it a 903 at 220, was hailed as like one of the most impressive things anybody had ever seen. I mean, you hit a 903, you weighed in at what, 210 at this last meet?
Yeah. And then I hit it at my previous meet. It was that 90 kilos.
And you did it conventional, and you did it without any supportive gear. And I know it's like kind of apples to oranges, because I mean, back then, I mean, raw wasn't really a thing. Everybody had some type of like contraption they were squeezed into to get a little bit out of it. But the fact that you're so routinely hitting these numbers, you don't do big cuts, right? You stay pretty close to like the 198.
No, mark. I do pretty decent size cuts. Like I'll cut from like 215, 216 down to 198.
I know some middleweight strong, or I know some 90 kilo strongman that cut from like 235.
See, that like blows my mind, because I'm just like I feel like it's one thing to cut that and do like a squat, bench, and deadlift, but like to cut like 20, 30 pounds and then go do stones just seems like a bicep tear waiting to happen.
I mean, I've done a couple big ones. My biggest was 36 pounds. That's crazy. And I mean, from my highest weight to where I weighed in, it was about a day and a half. I've never had issues with injuries. I don't know that other people have. If you give yourself enough time, you can kind of rehydrate and get wet again. But yeah. I mean, it's not ideal. I mean, if for no other reason, the fatigue, like you're 36 hours out from trying to set a world record or something, and you're exerting energy, like sweating in a sauna. And there's a point where you're like, why the fuck am I doing this? Like, this is stupid.
I had a meet earlier this year, back in February. It was the hybrid, and I was trying to make the cut to 198. And I got down like 205, and I was sitting in the sauna. It was just me, and like you've been there where you're in the sauna and you get towards those last like 8 pounds or so, when it's like it really starts to get tough, and you have to like mentally tell yourself to stay in the sauna. And it was to the point where like I had that inner voice being like, get out, and I didn't have the exterior motivation to like stay in. So, and I just texted the meet director. I'm like, hey, can I just move up to 220? And that was technically my first meet at 220 because of that.
There you go.
Those last like 7 or 8 pounds really suck in the sauna.
And I always feel like the bar never really moves. Like if I have 5 pounds to cut, or if I have 30 pounds to cut, it's always the worst cut of my life, because I go in expecting it to be easier if it's only a few pounds, or I have time to get in gamer mode and really like get aggressive and prepare for it if it's heavier. Because you're always watching the needle, you know, it's not like this like fixed amount of weight that I have to cut, that it just gets exponentially worse the deeper you go. Yeah. One of the coaches I know would like remind his people when they start to get in that mindset, because he knows like the math of how much water people hold. And he's like, dude, you could cut another 30 if you had to. And people are like, shit, like I'm going to stroke out. My blood's like motor oil right now. Yeah, we had a lot of success with experimenting with like Amazon gadgets. So we have like a sauna sleeping bag now.
Oh, yeah.
With us. Oh, dude, it's great. You lay on the ground and you're just like, you don't have to move. You don't have to hold your weight up. It just comes off.
Yeah. I did one of the sauna, like the at-home sauna things where your head's like sticking out.
Yeah.
So I did that for one meet, and then I tried to buy one, but I fucked up and I got a steam room one. And that did not work very well.
It keeps you wet, right? So it's like,
yeah, you get out of it, you're soaked. You're like, oh man, I lost like 5 pounds. Like I feel like I lost like 5 pounds that session. And then you like find out like, oh nope, that's all just the condensation from.
Yeah, one of my worst cuts. I tried to finish with the steam room before I knew better. I had a pound to go, and I ended up doing like 3 10-minute rounds in the steam room, and I didn't lose a pound. It was one of the most like devastating things I ever did. I was like, fuck this sport, I'm going home. It's definitely a different dynamic. Do you have an opinion on like 24-hour weigh-ins? Like, I know a lot of guys rail against them. They think everything should be day of.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I like them because I'm pretty good at them, but I get the argument for like I kind of wish we could like just keep the rules the same, like no deadlift bar, 2 hour weigh-ins, just so you can compare like myself to like guys from the 80s and stuff like that. But I don't know, sport evolves, so
It does.